Hello everybody. Good morning, Twitch. How's everybody doing today? I'm back again with another live stream here on Twitch. Ready to do some coding, ready to do some tech, ready to have some fun with you, answer your questions, hang out. The normal stuff that I do all the time. The only difference this time, the main difference this time is I've changed the name a little bit. So you notice here I've shortened it a lot to Office Hours. And I'm really just changing the name here for one main for two main reasons, I think. One is that Live Coding with Matt Groves is a pretty long name, and it's not something that people usually like Google for or search for on YouTube. Got some racket here with my email client. Need to shut that down. Give me a second. So it's really just kind of extra words in there. You know, if you're searching for these videos, or you're browsing around Twitch, like my name doesn't really do anything there. It just adds length that I can't use to describe what's going on in the episode, what's going on in the stream. So I shortened it to Office Hours. And the other reason is I've heard some feedback that live coding might be a little bit intimidating. People might not understand exactly what that means. And it's really, I mean, hey, it's Gambler. What's going on, Gambler? Thanks for coming in and hanging out. Live coding isn't the only thing I do here. I do some other stuff. We do a lot of live thinking and a lot of live planning and a lot of live question and answers, right? So it's live, but it's not just about coding, right? I mean, certainly coding is a big part of it. But anyway, what I think would make more sense is, again, people aren't searching necessarily for live coding, at least not anymore, right? It's a much more common thing. So I want to shorten it down to Office Hours because this leaves me more room over here to put descriptive words that people might search for or might browse on Twitch and say, oh yeah, I'm interested in JSON, I'm interested in unit tests, let's check that out. Still keeping the episode number so I can just kind of keep track for my own purposes. I could just remove the episode from that and just call it 73. But anyway, that's the reason I'm doing that. Nothing else about the show is really changing. Still the same old kind of stuff. Just shortening the name down a little bit, and we'll see how that goes. But the name isn't super important. This is the important part for me, for people trying to find the stream, and this is the important part for me keeping track. So beyond that, everything else is just kind of extemporaneous. Is that the right word? I don't know. Kind of extra. All right, so let's get on with it today. What are we going to do? We're going to do some JSON Dashboard. So I'm talking about this dashboard for a long time because right now a lot of settings like I can change in the chatbot, which by the way is currently on, and I believe it's the current project. Let me just double check here. Yep. So a lot of the things that I control in that, I have to kind of go into the database directly and edit that to make changes to the settings, which is kind of annoying because I have to remember the the credentials, and I have to, remember the IP address for the database and all that kind of stuff. And I mean, I even have to make the database accessible to my local machine from Azure, which the way I've got set up is not a big deal, but it would be nice if I could turn that completely off and just turn it on when I need to go and do database maintenance. But anyway, it also makes it just sort of easier for me to manage and understand what's going on, and even show that on the stream, to show the data in a little more visual format. To make changes to it. So I've done some work on that just because there's a few features that I want to add for rating and defending that I've been meaning to add for a long time that I think I can do with current features of the chatbot, except that I got to go in the database and edit it directly, so it's kind of annoying. So I've worked on some of that stuff. We're going to continue to work on that a little bit. And one of my favorite things to do on streams is write unit tests. I love writing unit tests. So we're going to do that today because I did not do TDD with this. I wrote the test. I haven't committed everything yet. I'm going to write the test and commit it. So it'll look like I did TDD, right? Anyway, if you're here in the channel and you're hanging out, welcome. Drop a lurk command there in the channel, bang lurk, to let me know you're hanging out. And if any questions comes up that you want to ask, anything that I said that's like, oh, what do you mean by that? Or anything on the screen where it's like, oh, I wonder what that symbol does, or I wonder why he chose that word. This is a very question-friendly channel. So go on and feel free to ask, hey, B. Burks, thanks for hanging out. Good to see you here. Same with you, Gambler. So yeah, ask away. This is what drives this channel a lot. This is what makes the live portion of it so much fun. Is that you can just drop in and ask questions, and we can chat. I'm a member of Team Live Coders here on Twitch. So let's bring them up here. Let's get them on the screen. Show off my team a little bit. This is a good place to start if you want to find other people who are live streaming about other stuff that's going on, other languages, other frameworks, and what have you. You can start here, twitch.tv/team/livecoders. Full Stack Live has a question. Ooh, hard-hitting question. Good to see you, Full Stack Live. How are you today? I am doing all right. I'm optimistic. Some announcements from state government today. They have a really solid plan. Really detailed plan, I guess. We'll see how solid it is once it's underway, right? But to start cautiously opening things back up, slowly hitting benchmarks and metrics and things like that. So now Tane, I can get into. Yeah, thank you for those bits, Full Stack Live. Appreciate that. Haven't got bits in a while. But yeah, I'm optimistic that things are going to start opening up slowly, carefully, and that the cruises I have planned for later this year will actually take place. So I'm optimistic. Dota 2, what's going on? Bada bing, bada boom with the Calvin head. Good to see you, Dota 2. Thanks for hanging out. So yeah, I'm cautiously optimistic. You got the slick emote. Oh yeah. I got 3 emotes now that have just gone through approval. So we've got these 3 here. So the first one is Calvin's head, because it's his favorite thing to say when we were pair programming together back in the day would be when I made a test pass, for instance, we'd say bada bing, bada boom, or he'd say bada bing, bada boom. So that's the first one. That's the best one. The second one is me with a pipe. I used to smoke a pipe on a regular basis, actually. So I took a picture of me holding the pipe, looking very astute, and that's my like a sir emote. I haven't really smoked a pipe in a long time, but I did buy on Bald Bearded Builder's recommendation, which I will shout him out. Bald Bearded Builder. Go check him out. His live stream. Give him a follow. But he does a lot of candles on his stream, right? And he recommended, because him and I have similar tastes on candles. So he loves the balsam, the Christmas tree candles. I love them. My favorite candle. My mom gets them for me my birthday and Christmas every year. Love it. But he recommended a pipe tobacco candle. So I picked one up, and I got it actually lit right now. It's okay. And the third emote there is my son from when he was like 2 or something, with a extreme look of joy on his face. So that's my yay emote. So you get those emotes if you're a subscriber. So if that's worth subscribing, go for it. If you like those emotes, you can use those in any other channel if you're a subscriber. But anyway, where were we? Yes, Twitch live coders. You couldn't imagine someone putting up with pair programming with me for a day. Well, when I pair programmed with Calvin, it wasn't necessarily like a whole day. Some days it was. Some days it was a whole day. He's not the only one I've ever pair programmed with. So I don't think I'm that annoying to pair program with. They'd probably wonder why all my variables are in the keys of the array. Okay. But pair programming, I think, it's a great way to learn and to teach at the same time, and for both people, whoever is the more senior or whatever. I think it's a great way to learn and teach and get up to speed, and I think it's a great way to kind of do a code review at the same time you're coding. So it's fantastic. I'm a big fan of pair programming. Haven't had much chance to do it since I switched to being a developer advocate. Every once in a while, I did some in a stream last week on Andrabus's stream. That was kind of fun. I've heard of code review where you focus on different things for each reviewer, so someone takes exceptions, etc. Well, that seems like a pretty well-structured code review. But I think that's the whole idea with extreme programming or pair programming, if you will, is just if a code review is good, if something's good, do more of it or do it sooner. Same thing with pair programming. Pair programming is also great for knowledge transfer and rapid decision making. Yeah, exactly. Knowledge transfer. So of the code base you're working on, certainly, but also of each other's knowledge of techniques and keywords and language features and stuff like that. Rapid decision making, yes, to an extent. If we're not talking decisions at the high level of project management or whatever, yes. But if we're talking about decisions about, okay, what design pattern do we use? What framework should we use for this? What NuGet library should we try? Things like that. Yes, I agree. Okay, so anyway, if you're looking for someone to check out for live coding beyond just me, of course, you can check out one of these people in here. Here's some people who are streaming right now, and we will come back here and revisit this when we wrap it up for the day to do a raid and keep it going. Another resource for you is the Awesome Developer Streaming List. Here on GitHub/BNB/Awesome Developer Streams, you can see a big text file of people who are live coding, live streaming, and what they're live coding, streaming about. So if you just do Control F here and look for the language or framework or whatever that you're into, and you can find them and follow them wherever they are, whether it's Twitch, YouTube, Periscope, Facebook, whatever. Full Stack Live, especially in distributed teams, the synchronous approach helps to shorten cycles where people have to wait for merge approval, etc. That's interesting. Yeah. So the last time I was pair programming, we didn't use GitHub, so it wasn't a pull request type system. Well, merge approval is just like, a pull request, merge, that sort of thing, which is the Git/GitHub model, right? And I actually didn't. The last time I did hardcore pair programming, we used Subversion, so there wasn't things like pull requests and approval for merging and things like that. It was more like, we're working all on this branch, this feature branch, and we'll merge it over. It's not like a pull request type process. It's just like, okay, we're ready to release, bring that branch over, that sort of thing. Or it's ready to go into QA, I think was more likely the process we had. So you have two branches, a dev branch and a master, and we test on dev. It's our playground. Yeah, right. So I think Subversion, we had a release branch, and it wasn't called master branch, but it's called like the main, I don't know, it was called main branch, something like that. And then every once in a while we'd have feature branches for, the different tickets and items that came through, work items. Pull feature off master, PR back into master, merge into dev directly, test on dev. I'm trying to remember now. We had a separate QA release branch or something, because we had a QA team where we worked, and it was a Three Amigos type environment where we had the business analyst, QA, someone from QA, and one of the developers. We'd all have a meeting for each ticket, basically, just so we're all on the same page, so I know how to test it, how to design it, how to code it, things like that. In my team, we're pretty laid back and usually have a good level of quality. For us, pull requests are more about communicating changes than approving them. Yeah, I think that's a good way to approach pull requests. It's not about gatekeeping, right? It's more about just organization. Being like, okay, it looks like so-and-so's done with their feature. Here's the pull request. Maybe we can take some time to review it. If they've pair programmed it, we don't necessarily need to code review it. We'll just, look for conflicts and make sure all the, metadata and Jira stuff or, whatever system you're using, it's all set. And then, okay, pull request right in. Yep, cool. So anyway, this list here is not just one team. It's everybody who live codes on any platform, Twitch or otherwise. You can get listed here. So this is another place to start. Another place to start. Much bigger list, but a lot more, kind of searchable by keywords. Which, by the way, you can also go to livecoders.dev, check out team members there, and everyone who's updated their profile will have keywords and stuff about what they do. Let's see if mine's been updated yet. Yep, there's me. So my profile here with all my little social media icons and the keywords that I work on, they're all there. So you can use this as well if you want to search live coders. Not everyone has updated their profile here yet, but they'll get there. NoSQL Shiver. Man, how long have you hung out on this channel? I use NoSQL all the time, man. How can you hang on this channel and shiver in NoSQL when that's pretty much what I'm using all the time? Yeah, I never realized NoSQL. Because I use SQL queries so much. Is that why? Yeah. The whole NoSQL term is just like a buzzword, pretty much. It doesn't really mean anything on its own. So you can do either. Well, I think I covered this many times, but I use something called Couchbase right here. You can see Couchbase. And Couchbase is a NoSQL document database. Data stored as JSON. But my favorite thing about Couchbase is I can still run SQL queries against that JSON data. Right? So I can still write selects. I can still do joins, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, why choose if you can do both? And by the way, I come from my work experience, previous jobs is with relational databases. So I can, as a person, work with both. We're talking mostly SQL Server and some MySQL and Couchbase. But yeah, you're used to SQL. So am I. And that's why I really like Couchbase, because there's some really cool stuff that NoSQL can give you. But I didn't want to have to learn a whole new proprietary query language or be limited by a lack of joins or things like that. So it's not it's its own dialect of SQL, right? Just like SQL Server has T-SQL and Oracle has PL/SQL. Couchbase has something called Nickel, N1QL. But it's a full SQL language with joins and unions and group by and common table expressions and all that kind of stuff. So there you go. Full Stack Live. Using Redis and Postgres from the same app is outlawed in very few countries. Sure, yeah, absolutely. And then even in the same app or the same system, right? You could have one microservice on Couchbase, one microservice on SQL Server. Totally makes sense. The thing with Couchbase is you don't need to use Redis with it, right? It's got its own built-in cache. So it's memory first database as well, so you get that benefit of Couchbase as well. So I could talk about Couchbase all day long, which is my job, by the way. But I will... What was that? Heard a thumping noise up there. Upstairs. Let me just check to make sure everything's okay. Sounds like they're walking around, so I think everything's fine. Alright, otherwise I'd be shooting off to go check. Alright. So anyway, livecoders.dev is another thing you can check out. And maybe I should put this in my normal flow of promotions there. Okay, what else? GrowsTube. So you can see this link down here, bit.ly/GrowsTube. All the videos that are happening here on Twitch, they get saved to Twitch for some period of time, but I go ahead and I export them off to YouTube as well. So if you're watching on YouTube, hello. Leave your question or comment down there below. Happy to read that or address that on the future episode. Or in the comments themselves. I respond in the comments when it makes sense to. But you can all check out the videos there if you like to time travel or watch old episodes. See what kind of content I've covered in the past. Go check out bit.ly/GrowsTube. What else? Upcoming events. GDD Cloud Oslo is coming up soon. That's May 5th. That is a week away from today. So I think I may have to shorten or skip next Tuesday's live stream because I will be presenting here instead. In the middle of the day for me, but I think it'll be the evening for them. If you want to sign up, you're welcome to. You don't have to live in Oslo to attend that. This will be a presentation on JSON data modeling, so very much relevant to NoSQL. And I'll be covering, how document databases, kind of how they work. Oh my gosh, a subscription from CoralR. What's going on? Haven't seen Coral in a while. Thanks for hanging out, Coral. And thank you very much for the sub. Appreciate that. So Coral now has access to all of those fancy emotes. So go to town. Gosh. So anyway, you don't have to be in Oslo to go to this. I'll be talking about JSON data modeling, which one of the things I'll be talking about is querying. but also just kind of how you should model data in a document database, how that's different than relational databases and so on. Dota, did you unlock the emote with Buckazoids or something? Is that how you're getting those? Emotes? It was very cheap for channel points. Yeah, I don't spend a lot. I don't, the channel points, the Buckazoids, are pretty low cost. No, I don't want to up the cost. If it becomes a problem, I'll up the cost. But I want to reward people for hanging out here. So use those channel points. Use those Buckazoids. SQL Saturday. So I mentioned this in previous streams. This event was canceled, and then I worked with the organizers. That's Coral's intro. I'm wondering why it didn't trigger for the subscription. Interesting. But there you go. That's Coral's intro video. You too, if you're a regular in this channel, I may give you a little intro video. But anyway, SQL Saturday, Cincinnati. This was an event that was canceled. It was an in-person event originally in Cincinnati, Ohio. It was canceled. I worked with the organizers to go ahead and put on my session anyway. I did that here on Twitch. You can go to bit.ly/GrowsTube to see that. Spaceballs is a very good movie. Yeah, it's a very good movie. I just watched it in the last 6 months or so. It still holds up pretty well. But anyway, they've gone and decided that they're going to have the event after all on May 16th as a virtual event. So I'm still on the schedule. I'll be presenting the same thing I presented at the sort of my impromptu SQL Saturday / Cincy Pass event. But this will be a great session if you want to learn about NoSQL. It's a very intro level type session, and it's very choose your own adventure type session. So if you're interested in that, you want to go sign up for SQL Saturday Cincinnati. Did I paste the link? I did not. Here's the link. Go check it out. Sign up for that. And the thing is, it's the same exact session as I presented, but it's going to be different because the questions will be different. It's a choose your own adventure. Cincinnati, pretty big city. It's in the top 3 in Ohio. It's either number 2 or number 3. Love Cincinnati. I'm a Cincinnati Reds fan. So yeah, it's easily one of my top 3 favorite cities in Ohio as well. NDC Oslo, you drove through it if I recall correctly. Okay, yeah. It's a beautiful city too. Beautiful downtown. The 3 C's of Ohio. Hey, it's Bhaskar. That's right, the 3 C's: Cleveland, Columbus, Cincinnati. There's actually a relatively well-known chain of body shops for cars, body shops in Ohio called 3C Body Shop. And so 3C is kind of a term that you hear every once in a while here in Ohio. But yeah, Cleveland, Columbus, Cincinnati. I think Columbus is the number 1 in terms of population. I don't know if Cleveland or Cincinnati is number 2 or not. And also depends on how you're counting it, right? Because Cincinnati kind of spills over into Kentucky. Like Dota's saying, you're just going to Kentucky, you're just passing through, right? And Cleveland, you count Akron and that kind of stuff. So depending on how you count it. But they're all pretty big cities. And I think Dayton might be number 4 and Toledo number 5 in terms of size. Anywho, NDC Oslo is coming up. I actually did hear from the organizers on this. They just finished up the first of 3 NDC events that they've made virtual. And so I don't have more information yet because they've got one more event they got to get to before NDC Oslo. But I'm still on track to present here. And that's going to be great. My first ever NDC. I can't wait. It's lousy that I couldn't go in person, but I'm still happy to be involved with NDC Oslo. And the Live Coders Conference coming up June 20th. Mark your calendar. This is going to be tremendous, tremendous stuff. The last one was a lot of fun. This one's going to be probably even better. So definitely check it out. livecoders.dev. Put that on your calendar. June 20th. All here on Twitch. Definitely want to do that. Okay, so events. All right, so that's it for events. So what is up with the office hours, Bhaskar? I explained this early on, but I just basically wanted to shorten the name because live coding with Matt Gross is kind of a long name, and the term live coding may be a little bit intimidating to some. So I kind of want to shorten it down. I may even shorten it down further and just take out this word episode. There's a remote conference on the 30th I'm going to watch on Twitch. Hey, throw that link in there, Coral, so we can find out what that's about. I want to hear more about that. And that I want to have more room in my titles for the keywords that are actually important to people who are searching or browsing, so they know what's in the stream. So, Deserted Island DevOps. Okay, let's see. Oh gosh, is this a conference that's taking place in Animal Crossing? I think so. That's pretty wild. That's pretty cool. A one day event celebrating DevOps Animal Crossing. So that's interesting. I didn't realize Animal Crossing was robust enough to host a conference, but I mean, I haven't played it, so it makes sense. They've got a nice little lineup. Let's see, agenda. Let's see who's on this lineup here. We got. I think I've heard of Ian Coldwater before. Yeah. Okay. Light Step. New Relic. If you can wait 6 months, you should. Interesting. So hopefully you don't have to have Animal Crossing to participate in this. And I'm assuming, since Coral mentioned Twitch, that you can watch on Twitch. Nationwide. Oh, that's pretty cool. That's based here in Columbus, Ohio. Nationwide Insurance. I'm going to have to follow this person if I don't already. I like to follow people sort of in my immediate region who are developers. Oh no, MongoDB developer advocate. Boo, boo, Mongo, boo. I'm kidding. That's cool. Red Hat, HashiCorp. This is a pretty impressive series of. It's a lot of developer advocates. So there's a lot of that going on. So depending on how you feel about developer advocates being speakers at a conference, but looks like a pretty good lineup. New Savvy. Hello, how are you? You have no idea what's going on? That's fine, neither do I. I don't really know what's going on either. We're just hanging out. We're about to start writing some code, actually. So you kind of came in at the right time. We're going to work on some JSON stuff. We're going to work on .NET. We're going to do unit tests. It's going to be great. But I was just checking out this conference that Coral posted called Deserted Island DevOps, which is a software development conference that takes place in Animal Crossing. So that's pretty cool. Dev advocates have a lot of spare time right now. You'd think Full Stack Live, but not really so much, right? It's not. Here's the thing: like, dev advocates aren't just about events, right? And even if we were, there's still a lot of virtual events happening. So, there's lots of stuff that dev advocates do that maybe isn't quite as visible as, the event stuff and running booths and speaking at events. So, yeah, there's still lots of stuff. I'm a dev advocate, so I'm speaking for myself. I've got a mile-long to-do list that doesn't involve events, and then I have events on top of that. So, anywho, all right, what we're working on here, and let me just make sure I've got the right Docker images running. Software churns along, stress and disease be darned. Yes, tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow creeps along at a steady pace into the last syllable of recorded history, or however that goes. All right, so I want to make sure I have DB650 Enterprise. No. Start. This is the database I'm using locally to develop my chatbot. Let's bring this up on the screen, make sure it's the right one. And just tomorrow and tomorrow soliloquy. Now, how's that go? Tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow. Creeps in this petty pace, not steady. From day to day to the last syllable of recorded time. There you go. From Macbeth. From the Scottish play. Sorry, I'm not supposed to say Macbeth. Just want to make sure this is the right one. Yep, there is Twitch chat. Okay. Well, now you've gone and done it. I know, I've said it. I said the M word. And now I'm going to, I don't know, completely bomb in the stream. Okay, so let me just show you what I've got here. And this, I don't think I've checked any of this into the repo yet. I will soon. Okay, here's the app running, by the way. It's off screen normally, but there's the console app running this website. Okay, and I've got this nifty dashboard thing here. And I know it's a very exciting design. And again, this is open source. So if you are a type of person who's inclined to go and make HTML changes to make this look pretty, I'm happy to take pull requests and or work with you to get something nice. But what I've got here is I've got 3 different pieces of data. So one of them is homepage stuff. As you notice, you may have just noticed up above my head there, I've got those little social media badges that fly by every 10 minutes or so. And so those are all controlled by this, they're all defined by this document here. This is a single JSON document, which is not called homepage stuff, but it's a document in there, and this is the contents of the document. So right now it's just badges. I may want to make this a real JSON editor at some point in the future too. And then the badges is an array, so each object in the array has an icon and text. The icon corresponds to a font awesome icon. It also corresponds to some CSS styles, which it's not quite as dynamic as I want it to be, because then if I want to add a new badge, I can add it here. It'll come up with the plain style, but I want to give it the color scheme and things like that of the actual social platform. So it's only partially dynamic here, but I can go and change that. I also have these static content commands. And so these are things where if you type in bang and this word, it'll show this literal message. Nothing dynamic about it. It just pastes that text right in there. So if you go and do Couchbase like this, it's going to show up twice because I've got 2 bots running right now. But it's just going to show that message and throw it out there into the chat. And this is just another one that does the same thing. What is Couchbase? Same kind of thing. And then one of the things that I've wanted to add, this has been on my backlog list for a while, is a raid and defend command. So you can copy and paste this as we go into raid in someone else's channel. So I can just throw the raid command in there and it'll show a message, and then you copy and paste this and go, and when we go to raid, you're going to paste it into the other person's channel. So up until now, I've been typing that all manually. And then when someone comes and raids our channel, which happens, maybe once or twice every couple weeks, we can just throw up a defend, and anyone can do a bang defend, and it'll just be defense, 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 spamming the screen. So it's just static content, nothing dynamic about it. I don't know why this space is in there, but there you go. So then I can hit save all, and it just saves those JSON documents to the database. Now, the trick with this is that this is I'm just editing literally the raw JSON of these documents. And so I don't have much in the way of validation here. There's nothing to stop me. Well, yeah, there is kind of something from stop me from adding other fields to this, right? So if I wanted to say, oh, foo bar to my JSON, it's not going to work, I don't think, because this actually gets deserialized into a C# object before it gets serialized into a JSON object. So it kind of goes to the ringer. So if I hit save all here, you'll see that didn't get saved because there is no foo property of my C# class. We'll see that in a second. And then I've got profiles. So this is just a query, a SQL query, nickel query, that queries all the profiles I've got. Now there's more than this in production, right? Corals is not here, and TBD Gamers isn't here. But I can then click on one of these and go to their individual profiles, which you've seen this screen before. Another amazing HTML effort by me. But I can go and edit that and then go back to the dashboard. So I can also add new profiles. So if I wanted to add Coral R, right? Coral R? Yes. Coral R. I can just type this in here and set new profile, and then I can start editing that. So again, before, this stuff was kind of stuff I had to do manually or edit the database directly or type in a URL directly. So it's just kind of duct tape, but we're kind of making this into a more usable system. Now this screen is only meant for me to actually edit and operate and change. So that's one of the reasons why it doesn't have to be pretty, but also another reason why it doesn't have to be super like locked down either. Looks at your interface, looks at the recently finalized and published Elm in Action book beside her, looks at a pillow, naps instead. You want to drop some Elm in here? Is that what you want to do? Hey, I mean, go for it. I don't really have a API endpoint for this, but if that's what you want to do, you can certainly give it a try, and I'd be happy to create endpoints for you. Whatever you think there. But yeah, Elm is something that hasn't really caught on as much as like React or Angular or something. But some interesting stuff in Elm. I've gone to a few Elm sessions at conferences. Some interesting stuff there. But it is, if you've not heard of it, is another language that, last I knew anyway, is still kind of, what do you call it? I won't say compiles, but cross compiles or something like that, compiles into JavaScript, right? ElmConf is going to be remote this year too. Makes sense. Transpiles, that's the word I'm looking for. Transpiles to JavaScript. Much like, TypeScript, right? So Elm is a language, but I think it also has elements of framework stuff in there too. Maybe. Or maybe there are frameworks for Elm. I don't know. Anyway, yeah, if you want to hit this with some Elm, go for it. So that's what I've got. So you can see Coral R showed up here because I added that profile. Even though I didn't actually save anything, just by hitting this page, it creates an empty user profile. So there it is. It's kind of its own framework with how the runtime works. Okay. So it's kind of a combination of TypeScript and React, kind of those two things in one. It's pretty nifty, and I believe it's functional. It's meant to be a functional language, if I'm not mistaken. So, so that's one of the things that sets it apart as well. Elm in Action. We can go ahead and plug that because it's a Manning book. This is the recently finalized and published Elm in Action by Richard Feldman, which sounds familiar. I think Coral, you may have brought this up before. Weren't you on a podcast with me for Elm? Cross-cutting concerns. I used to do a podcast quite a lot. Yeah, here it was. It was Elm, episode 69. And this is about Elm, and you mentioned Richard Feldman, so there you go. It's all coming back to me. And Richard lives in Philadelphia. Well, there you go. Coral lives in or around Philadelphia as well. Hope I'm not doxing you for that. If I did, sorry. But anyway, there you go. So there you go. If you want to learn more about Elm, check out that episode. I'll paste that right there in the channel. Some cool stuff with Elm. I haven't used it much at all. In fact, I've gone to a few sessions and I've interviewed Coral. And that's about it. That's the extent of my Elm experience. But I'd certainly welcome anybody who wants to contribute with any framework to make this look nicer. Go for it. All right, so let's look at the code for this. So profile controller, I created a new controller. No, I didn't. No, not profile controller. Dashboard controller. I created a new controller for this. This is an ASP.NET Core project, by the way. So I've got two index methods. So one is just viewing the page, right? And it gets this dashboard view, sends this request to mediator. Coral, it remains the only front-end tech appealing enough for me to use. Can't bear straight JavaScript. To be honest, well, I don't do much front-end stuff these days. The only thing that really appeals to me right now, if I really wanted to get into it, I think would be Blazor. And I can give a shout out to Ed Charbonneau, if I can spell it correctly. Probably can't. Let's see if I did. Ed Charbonneau. Yep, I did. I spelled it correctly. Shout out to Ed Charbonneau. Because Ed Charbonneau does a lot of... Oh, I should close this down, probably. A lot of streaming about Blazor. So Blazor is C# in the browser, which uses WASM, compiles down to WASM WebAssembly, and runs C# in the browser. So that appeals to me because I like C# quite a bit. most of my development experience on the front end has been around jQuery. I'm very much a fan of jQuery. It's not really a front end framework per se. I mean, it's a front end library. Oh, there it is. There's the M Groves up there. So I mean, I very much like jQuery. So if you consider jQuery to be straight JavaScript, and then yeah, I'm on board with that. I'm not a huge fan, but I like jQuery quite a lot. I've been using it forever, using it since it started, I believe. So I like jQuery. I haven't really, don't tell my colleague HTTP Junkie. I will shout him out here as well because he also is starting to stream. I'm not really into React. I really can't stand Angular. There's one I really do like actually, which I guess you would consider a straight JavaScript as well, although you can run TypeScript, is Aurelia. This is a... Hey, what's up, Shirley Dev? Thanks for dropping in. Good to see you. Welcome to the stream. We're just talking a little bit about, so we got a little bit of tangent about front-end web frameworks. This is one that I have not used a lot. I have used a bit, though. I like it quite a bit, is Aurelia. And I think this is one that you've been listening for the last half hour. Oh, okay. You just decided to drop in a little message there. Well, I'm glad you're here, Shirley Dev. So Aurelia, I think it's quite a good framework. You're out in the backyard burning papers in the incinerator bin. Liar? Who's a liar? Anyway, I like Aurelia. You tried dabbling with Aurelia. I found it to be, it kind of lines up with the way I think. And I haven't used it in a while, so maybe they've made some changes, but it just works for me. You couldn't get it to work? Oh, that's a shame. I found a lot of difficulty getting stuff like Angular and React to get up and running and work, but Aurelia I found just right away worked for me. You messaged the folks on one of the forums, got the response that basically said works on my machine. Yeah, that's always lousy when you're in that situation. Something's not working and it's working for everybody else, and what am I missing? That sort of thing. You like Core likes functional reactive data flowy stuff. React has the right idea, lots of stuff flowing the same paradigm. I just prefer Elm safety and simplicity. Well, fair enough. Yeah, clearly, I'm in the minority here because React and Angular are very, very popular. I'm just not into it. Blazor is not like official yet, but it's getting there. Ashley is active with Aurelia. Okay, here's someone on Twitter if you want. Oh yeah, Ashley Grant. Yes, I know Ashley Grant. He's a fellow MVP. He's actually the guy who, I think, is the guy who introduced me to Aurelia. He also introduced me to Rob, the original creator of Aurelia. I actually met him at the MVP Summit as well. So yeah, you can if you want to re-engage. I don't know if he's doing much Aurelia these days. I think he might be. But certainly if you want to ping someone for help, this is the guy I'd go to. He still has Aurelia Ninja as his link there, but I know he switched jobs recently. By recently, I mean like 6 months or 10 months or something. But this is the guy. If you want to try Aurelia again, maybe run your problem past Ashley. Yeah, thank you, Bhaskar. Okay, so this is the Git. So I'm not using any of those front ends, by the way. I'm using just old school, just return HTML from the server sort of thing. That ship has sailed. Well, that's sad. That's sad. I think it's worth a second look if you ever get a whim to go check it out again. I do like Aurelia. I actually wrote a blog post for Couchbase using Aurelia. That's how much I liked it. Aurelia. This is an old one, right? But I was working on geospatial search feature that Couchbase supports. Basically you can search an area of a map with Couchbase, right? With latitude, longitude coordinates. And so there's a visualization component that would make this more compelling. I kind of built my own like Yelp clone, kind of. But I needed a front end for this. So I decided to try Aurelia. And it worked really nicely. And so there's a Google Maps API. The only whim I have is a single lion sleeps tonight. That's always only a whim away, a whim away, a whim away. Oh, surly. Surly, surly, surly. But anyway, so I just took like the default Aurelia. Oh, you got me. You got me on that one. I took the default Aurelia, like Hello World, and I dropped a bounding, like a search component into there and used this Couchbase as the backend. But I found it really, really nice. So that was the bounding one. This is a distance search. So that was, when was that? That was 2018. So that's a couple of years ago. So really, I'm sure it's changed a lot since then. Thanks. Now I'm melting lost arc style. What? Melting lost arc style? I don't know what that means. But okay. All right. So this is y'all lost me. Raiders of the Lost Ark face melt. Oh, okay. I got it. Your face is melting. your whole self is melting. Raiders of the Lost Ark style. Gosh. So this just grabs the various. So it's two lookups and a query, and it does all three of those and puts them into a dashboard model. So I'll show you the dashboard model here. It's just static content command, which is a single document, homepage info, a single document, and profiles, which is a list of keys, basically. Anyone who has a user profile. So it pulls that and turns it to the view. Well, I'm doing some mapping here to a view model and so on. And then this is the actual post. So when I want to save either the homepage info and the static commands info, it'll post these to strings. And so you see here I'm doing it kind of a janky, kind of a weird way. I like it. I like this approach, but it's a little bit outside the normal. I'm serializing them all to JSON, as you can see in, let me go back to, where was this? Right here. So these two methods here convert these objects into JSON, and that's what gets dumped out to the screen. You can see right here in a nice formatted way, hence the formatting. But then when I post them, I'm again posting just JSON. So those are just raw strings that I'm bringing in here, and then deserializing them into C# objects. This is not necessarily a good idea to do this, right? Because anyone can pass in whatever raw JSON you want to, and then you gotta sort of deal with that. So the only thing I want to put into place is some sanity checking to make sure that I didn't accidentally wipe everything out, right? Oh gosh, oh no, oh sir, I've been clipped. Oh, the horror, the horror. What is with that URL? clips.twitch.tv/tempered famous artichoke brain slug. I'm hoping that's generated, Surly. That's some wild stuff. So anyway, this just serializes it into the C# objects and then wraps it up in this save dashboard data, which is a mediator request. Pass it to mediator, and the mediator does the job of actually saving it to the database. So if you look to save dashboard data handler, all it's doing is just upserting these two documents. Really, really simple. And then the other one is get dashboard view handler. It's doing three things, right? It's creating these documents so they don't exist already. And then it's going to oh, okay, I should probably separate this. So it's going to get the homepage and static docs with 2 KV calls, and then get a list of everyone with a profile with a nickel call. Nickel is the SQL language, the SQL dialect that Couchbase uses. But you can see here, it's some little things a little different, like this raw meta ID. You might be a little confused about that, and why is it bucket name? But think of this as like table, name of a table kind of. It's not a table, but think of it like a table in SQL. This is just the primary key of the document, and raw is, I don't want it to be in an object, I want it to be in a string array. Everything else should look like SQL to you, to me anyway. And then it just stuffs everything into, stuff everything into basically a DTO to return. And then this DTO will then be used to populate the actual view model. I've got extra layer in there because reasons. So that's all working. What I want to do is write some tests around this, because you see there's no tests here, there's no tests here, and there's no tests here. I don't think we need tests here. And what's the other one? Get dashboard view. No. Save dashboard data handler. No test here either, although this is very, very minimal. So we'll test this, but it's not that big a deal. So I need some tests. And as we go through tests, you're going to kind of see how this is working, I think, as well. At least that's my hope. All right, so let's start with controller tests. So I'm going to create a new folder. I'm going to call this dashboard controller tests. And so we've got, we'll do index get tests. Is that really the right name? So I don't know. I think I want to change these names around because they're both index. Which doesn't really give as much information as I'd like. So let's go back to here. I'm going to change, this one to be dashboard. Okay. Alrighty. So then I can do in my tests, I'll go ahead and create one called dashboard tests. And I'll create another one called dashboard post tests. And so on. Okay, so dashboard tests. Make this class a test fixture, because we're into NUnit around these parts. Okay, so what's the first test? We want to test that it's using mediator to get the dashboard view. So we're going to need, we need a controller, of course. Equals new dashboard controller. And it expects a mediator, so I'm going to give it a mock mediator. I don't want to actually call mediator. Mock mediator equals new mock of iMediator. There we go. And so controller, we can add that one there. Okay, great. Do these need to be async? They currently are, so the test should be async as well. Async task. Okay, so the first thing is it should call mediator with a get dashboard view command or request, whatever. That's what mediator calls them. So setup is, I think it's fine. Not setup. Arrange, act, and assert. So act is going to be await controller dashboard. Okay. Assert should be, we want to verify that mock mediator was sent it is any get dashboard view. So it's pretty much just a marker class. There's nothing actually in it, at least not yet. So it can be any instance of that is fine. And we need to say that's called once. So we're verifying here that this method gets called once with any old dashboard object passed to it. What's the problem here? Expression tree, optional arguments. Oh. Oh, because there's a cancellation token. It is which is an optional argument. Is any cancellation token, but mock can't handle the optional arguments. So there we go. Okay, and now we've got a failing test. And why is that? Because is what? Because this returns null, I assume. So this is where we do need to arrange. Muck mediator dot setup dot send. It is any get dashboard view. Just going to return something new. Get dashboard. Don't really care what it is. I just don't want it to have a null reference exception. What doesn't it like here? Does not contain a definition for returns async. Huh? What did I do here? What don't we like? Saddles from dashboard. Oh, right. This should be dashboard view. Fine. Okay, there we go. I was returning the wrong type. It's supposed to return the DTO type. Now the test is passing. Good. That's about what I expect. Okay. Oh, the dashboard view model probably needs to be tested as well, because it's got this mapping function, which is just left-right code. Something you could replace with AutoMapper, and you could have AutoMapper generate those tests automatically, that sort of thing. I'm not super concerned about it right now. But, okay, I think we're good there. Maybe the other test I might want to do is, whoops, public async task. It should return a view with it's a view model, right? Dashboard view model object. Okay, and same sort of thing going on here, except that my assert is different. Well, I need to get the result. Okay. So the result should be, it's of type action result, right? But that can be any number of things. So we need to assert that result is type of. Hey, Calvin, what's going on? Good to see you. How's things going at the Calvin Allen household these days? Smiley face. Smiley face. All right, it is a view result is what we're looking for. Things are going good. That's good. Good is good. Hey, bada bing, bada boom, ×3. How about the Groves? So this is a question someone asked earlier on, was how's it going? It's going okay here. I'm cautiously optimistic. Calvin, you're in the same state as me. Maybe you can weigh in on this as well. But the plans I've seen from the state to kind of roll out easing restrictions slowly, carefully, I'm optimistic. So I'm feeling pretty good about that. Now the rest of the country, the rest of the world, that will remain see how that goes. But it seems like a plan. I don't know about a good plan, a bad plan. I don't know. That remains to be seen. But it seems like a plan, and it's good to have a plan, to have some milestones, to have some dates, to say, okay, this is what we expect to happen if things go well, right? So that's good. But so I'm optimistic that states, countries are going to start easing things down, that we've got enough capacity to handle things, and that I will hopefully, my ultimate selfish measure of how good things are is if I'm still allowed to get on board that cruise that I've booked later in August. Just got the notification I'll be working through home through May at least. Well, I don't know how you feel about that, but that's good. That's good. And I think one of the positive things from this, I wish it didn't happen this way, but one of the positive things that happens from this is that companies will start to see, hopefully, that working from home is, fine. People can be just as productive and good at their job working from home. So I don't think every company is going to jump on the working from home train, but I think a lot will. they'll start saying, hey, why are we paying for these expensive offices and disruptive work environments and all this, all these utility bills when people can just work from home, and they're going to be happier, and we're going to save some money, and we can expand our hiring pool and things like that. Maybe it's wishful thinking on my part, but that's one of the positives I think that's going to come out of this. So I can do it like that way. I can also just get view result equals result as view result. So what I can do then is I can assert that view result dot model is type of and dashboard view. Oh, what doesn't it like that? Oh, because that's not the right type. Dashboard view is the right type. But what about the productivity gain from sharing an office with 20 other people? Well, that's what I'm saying is, I know you're being facetious here, Full Stack Live, but I think that many companies will, if they're honest with themselves, will take a look and say, well, didn't really notice any major productivity decreases, despite the fact that there's a global pandemic. That the same 20 people were just as productive or nearly as productive as they were when they're in here. So, I think there are still lots of managers, lots of companies out there who'll be like, oh, they got to be in the office, they got to be here, we got to have all the whiteboards and the conference rooms and all that kind of stuff. But I think it'll be an increased amount of companies will start looking at work from home as a valid way to save costs, to differentiate in terms of hiring, in terms of benefits, things like that. Don't be dissing whiteboards. What do they ever do to you? And I'm not dissing whiteboards. I have a whiteboard right over there. But, having a whiteboard is not, that alone is not a compelling reason to have an office building and require everybody to come into an office building. I agree, of course, and share your hope. However, there'll be others who'll say, see, I told you it wouldn't work, to just send people home with a laptop and think that'll do. No, you're right, Full Stack Live. But I think that we'll see some movement in that direction. More so. Because people were sort of forced into trying it, forced into experimenting with it. And that's lousy that it had to happen that way. I'd rather they opt into it themselves to try it out and experiment. But now that they've gone through it, they can see, oh, there's actually some benefits to this, and we can actually do this. My company has had such success with it. That's why they extended to the end of May. Well, there you go. Bada bing, bada boom. We've had zero issues both with productivity or the virus. I find that hard to believe, Calvin, but I would say that alone shows that there's a productivity gain inherent in working from home, and that's sort of offset the stuff going on with the pandemic. That kids having to stay home from school and all that kind of stuff. So that's a bada bing, bada boom, if I ever heard one. May 1st or May 4th, offices are allowed to open. They still said, nope, keep going. Nope, going well, keep it up. That's amazing. That's terrific. So that's exactly what I'm talking about. I think companies are going to start to see that, and at least at first anyway, it's just like, hey, there's still some risk. We're worried about liability, all right? So don't come in just yet. But again, I think that's just going to give some momentum to increased working from home, especially for not every type of company, every type of employee can work from home, obviously. But developers, certainly, business analysts, these are people that can work from home. Anyway, that's just me. That's my own personal biases. But that is very cool, Calvin. That's good to hear. That's something helping to validate my own personal biases, so I like that. So why is this having an exception? This should be dashboard view model, right? Oh, again, I'm at the wrong type. I put 3 different types in there. Some managers will have to look more for results and just count butts in chairs. But that's a good thing too. That's absolutely a good thing. Absolutely different way of thinking. It is. It is a different way of thinking. And, to be fair, working from home is something that until like the last, I don't know, 15 years, 20 years, wasn't really feasible, right? There weren't tools, there weren't reliable internets up until then, and reliable, high-speed internet, things like that. So we're there. If they can manage the transition, lots of people win. Yes, I agree. I mean, just think of the impact this has had on, and I know there's lots of unemployment going on with it, so it's very hard to narrow this down to one specific thing. But look at the price of gas has plummeted, traffic has dropped, because not everyone has to rush to work at rush hour and rush back home. So those are all positive things, in my view. But of course, there's lots of negatives to go along with it. So I don't want to diminish that. There's people who are unemployed. There's people who are in hospitals. There's people who are working like crazy. So it's difficult to draw conclusions, but that's where my personal biases lie. So let's just leave it at that. So that test is passing. That's good. We got 2 tests in here. On to the next one. Hang on. Profile editor tests. Wait, what? No, not profile editor tests. Dashboard post tests. Test fixture. Okay. Alrighty, so this one is going to be on the dashboard post. So it'll be very similar setup. All right, public void setup. Controller equals new dashboard controller. And again with the mock mediator. Yep. Okay, mock mediator.object. Yippity yips. Full stack live. Yep, I definitely agree. Yep, I think we're all on the same page here. Okay, dashboard controllers, we're looking. Okay, so I'm going to put some sanity checks in here, but I'm going to TDD those, I think. I'm going to get these tests. Oh, this should be dashboard. Let's TDD. No, let's just write tests to make sure this stuff works. So, all right, let's just do happy path, I guess, and save dashboard data. Task command is executed. All right, arrange, assert. Calvin, I think I'm going to get PostSharp into my work project for logging. When we end up buying a license, I'll tell them Matt referred me, give him a cut. I love it. So PostSharp logging is like the killer app, right? So I think that's gonna work well. Yeah, I'm not gonna get a cut, but yeah, I would appreciate a shout out if you're buying a license from them, just so they know that I'm still talking about PostSharp all these years later. Hope that works well for you, though. Actually, I think one of the reasons I started using PostSharp was actually in a Xamarin project. It wasn't called Xamarin back then. It was called Monodroid. And I somehow got it to work with the Monodroid, even though at the time it wasn't supported at all. I'm sure it is now, Xamarin. If you see our data layer, you'd agree, I'm sure. If it's a lot of static methods, for instance, PostSharp's going to be a big help for you. Or a lot of non-interfaced classes, things like that. PostSharp is definitely going to help you. And of course, there's other things that PostSharp can do. You can just broadcast to a whole namespace, for instance, and say, wrap everything in logging. Bam, done and done. But I wrote a book about that, so we don't need to go on about that. All right, saved it. The command is executed. So I want to do await controller dot dashboard post, and you know, one thing no, never mind. I'm just going to make these empty objects for now, just so it's valid JSON. We can test some other stuff later. So I want to assert, I'm going to verify, sorry, that m.send. Yes. So the request is going to be, it is, what was it again? Save dashboard data. And I'm going to have to I'm going to have to put something in here. Just want a placeholder for now. Return true. Okay, I've got to run. Thanks for the stream. Thanks for hanging out, Gamlor. Appreciate it. Good to see you. Okay, so that's that. And then I also need a cancellation token in here, right? Huh? Yeah. It is any cancellation token. Yep. Return. Should be times once. That should be good enough. So the main work will be here. Lambda expression with the statement already coming during. Okay, that's fine. Okay. So what I could start with just it is any save dashboard data. And that should make the test pass. That's not a good enough test, I don't think, but it passes. So what I want is I want to make sure that it is no, I think that's probably good enough, right? Okay, that's fine. Okay, now I want to do another one to make sure that save dashboard data has correct serialized objects from strings. So this is going to be a little more complicated with the arrange. Oh no. Oh gosh. I've been raided. Oh no. Thank you for the raid. Wormiest fifth. No. Pixelogic Dev. Pixelogic Dev, thank you for the raid. I don't have a defend command working just yet. It's one of the things we're working on. But normally I would ask my my loyal my loyal audience to say bang defend, and we'd get that defend going. You've got a pretty good raid system of yourself working there. But hey, good to see you, Pixelogic Dev. Thanks for stopping in. Oh, there's a defend. There's a good defend. An army of Calvins. That's what we need. An army of Calvins to defend this channel. Oh gosh, what's with all this? All these tier 1 subs being gifted. So Surly Dev. Yeah, thanks some subs. I love it. I'm going to put my brand new yay emoji, yay emote in there. Thank you so much for those subs for Surly Dev. Full Stack Live, Mr. Demon Wolf. Love it. It's awesome. Terrific. And definitely going to shout out Pixelogic Dev. Not that I really need to do any more shouting at this point about how great he is. But there you go. Pixelogic Dev. Go check out Pixelogic Dev. Follow. Enjoy. It'll be fantastic. Yes. Love it. Love it. And you are the gifter leader now. Love it. So thank you for the raid. Appreciate it. We're writing some unit tests today. Writing some C# unit tests. One of my favorite things is writing unit tests. So we're doing that today. Working on a dashboard actually for the chatbot, and this is going to make it easier for me to add and update and change, messages like the raid and defend messages for this channel. Yeah, my defense will not stand a chance anyway. Wormius51, how dare you? How dare you? We can defend for the best of them. But thank you for hanging out, Wormius51 as well. And welcome all you raiders. Appreciate it. Hope you like unit tests. That's what we're working on today. Working on C# unit tests and .NET, writing them in N unit. Full Stack Live feels so groovy now. Groovy. I'm giving a little extra emphasis on the U because of the umlauts. Groovy. Love it. Okay, cool. So if anyone has any questions about what's going on, feel free. Ask. This is a question-friendly channel. Anything you see on the screen that's confusing or looks interesting, ask away. Happy to engage with anybody in the channel. If you just want to lurk, hit the bang lurk command right there in the chat. Just let me know that you're hanging out, you're lurking. It'll be great. And then we'll keep the raid going after that. We'll find someone else. Someone probably not as cool as Pixelogic Dev, but we'll find someone cool to raid after that. So working on another unit test here. We're going to do a little bit more complicated of an arrange. So up here I just hard-coded an empty JSON object. We're going to create a more complex object that we're going to serialize into JSON, because that's just how this method is working. It's just taking JSON and serializing it. So we're doing a lot of back and forth manipulation here of JSON to objects to JSON to objects and so on and so on. But that's totally fine, because we're using Newtonsoft, which is really easy to use to serialize, deserialize objects in C#. So we're going to do JSON convert serialize object, and we're going to say new homepage info. Let's call it homepage info. Homepage info. We'll call this one homepage info JSON, and we'll call this one static content commands. This is where the raid stuff is going to go. And static content commands, that's going to go to JSON serialize object static content commands. So then I need to create these actual objects. New homepage info. And I don't know, we'll give it some stuff. We'll give it a new list of social media badges. Wait, no. Badges equals new list of social media badges. Let's make up some new social media networks. So I'll call this one Twumbler. It's a combination Twitter and Tumblr. And my name on Tumblr would be probably M. Groves. Not as exciting. What is it like about this? Typo and string Twumbler. Yeah. Okay. Add 2 arguments. Oh, this is supposed to be new social media badge, where the icon equals Twumbler and the text is M. Groves. Okay. And then we'll do static content commands is new static content, it's new valid static commands. And those commands, we'll just put a new list of interesting commands in here. Just do one, where the command is, I don't know what the command should be. Probably it's something like defend. And the actual text would be, oh, I gotta get this right. Command equals defend, and the actual content would be defend the channel against invaders. There we go. Just a bunch of nonsense stuff, but it all follows the, these C# objects, which I then turn around and throw them into JSON immediately, because the actual portion here that I'll be testing is this controller action. We're going to throw the homepage info JSON into that, and the static content commands JSON into that. Right? Yes. Okay. So then we need to assert that m.send. I'm just going to copy this up here. I'm going to change it. So this should make it pass fine, but that's not really what I want to test. I want to test specifically that this stuff is matching. Why aren't we compiling? We're missing something here? What's going on? Oh, did I miss that? I missed something. That's why. I missed a semicolon. Unacceptable. Okay, there we go. So it's passing. Fine, fine, fine. But what I need to do is I need to make sure that it passes certain criteria. So x dot hello. Why aren't you showing up? What's the problem here? Oh, because yeah, I need to change this to is, not is any, obviously. Okay, x dot homepage info dot badge. Well, can we just say this equals homepage info? Will that work? It will not work because I'm going through serialization, deserialization, so that's fine. Dot badges, the first badge dot icon equals page info dot badges, first pages dot icon. So those strings should literally match. They do. Boom. Okay. We don't need to test every single one of those, but I want to test one more on the static commands. Commands 0 dot command equals same sort of thing. Static content commands dot commands 0 dot command. And pass-a-roo. Okay, terrific. So there we go. If we go back to here, you can see we've got green check marks all up and down here. Next, I want to do the sanity checking. So what I'm afraid of is because I'm editing JSON directly, and I'm like these big clumsy sausage fingers, that I'm going to wipe out JSON, or just the right typo that's going to wipe out all the data that I've entered in there. And so what I could do is I could go through and I guess I could validate all these different objects, but I can't really validate that, I meant to blow it away when I didn't. So what I want to do is, I'm going to check to make sure that these aren't null. That'll be one sanity check. So let's just do that right here. JSON task. Save dashboard data. No. There'll be an error. Or, I guess return bad request if any parameter is null. Is null or empty. I might turn this into a test case at some point. So a series of test cases. Arrange, act, assert. Okay, and I'm going to do like so. Yeah, I think I should do test cases here. Okay, that'll work. So then what I could do is test case and saying null, null, empty string, null, null, empty string. Every permutation here, so yeah, empty string, empty string. Yeah, I think it's all of them, right? Null, null, empty string, null, null, empty string, empty string, empty string. Yes, I want all of those to result in a failure. Okay. And so I want to assert that the result of this, the result is going to be a type of bad request. I think that's what I would expect to happen. Do I need to do any arranging? I don't think so. Yeah, basically I just need this not to, well, no, I don't need this not to fail. I could put these validations in here as well, I guess. But we'll just put them there for now. Okay, So that is failing because I haven't written the actual code yet. This is tester in development. I write the failing test first, then I go and make the test pass. So we can say if is null or empty homepage info, or string is null or empty static content commands, then we're going to return bad request. And now what happens? Passing test. So now the test passes. The next step would be refactor. So what I could do is I can move this logic into, I don't know, save dashboard data. I have like a command.validate, something like that. But I think that's probably fine for now. The other sanity check I want to do is, what do I want to do? I want to check to make sure that the serialization and deserialization that we're going through here doesn't blow something away. That's kind of valid. Because if this is invalid JSON, I don't think it throws an exception. I think it'll just return a null. It just swallows that exception. So I'm not 100% sure about that, but I want to be defensive about it. So let's run a test, async task. And we want to just do a sanity check on serialization, on JSON serialization. What do you say ooh for, Coral? What's with the ooh? What don't you like here? What am I doing that displeases you? Swallowed exception. Well, okay, so I'm not 100% sure about that. I don't know for sure. I could find out. I could write a test to see if that's what happens. Although that be all right. So let's just write a test to see if that's actually what happens. So let's assume bad JSON is passed in. So this isn't valid JSON. Let's assume that gets passed in, and I could do some validation on the client side for this. JSON converts serialize object. No, deserialize. Deserialize object into homepage info, something like that. Bad JSON. Did it make it this far? Nope. Assert that 1 equals 1. Whatever. What? Oh, no. 1. But there was 1. 1 is equal to 1. Okay. Oh, I gotta make this a test, obviously. Why isn't it running a test? Because I didn't tell it was a test. Oh, okay. So there is something that goes wrong here. So maybe I don't have to worry about this as much. Is this going to throw an exception? Oh, crikey. It's asynchronous, so it's not doing what I want it to do. Just make this synchronous. Then I see the exception. Invalid property identifier. Okay, so it is not swallowing it. It's throwing an exception. Okay. I was concerned that would be the case. So maybe I don't need this test. But what else do I want to think about here? So if I'm in there and what would be invalid? How could I mess this up that I could write some code to check? So we'll go back to here. I'm editing the raw JSON. How could I mess this up? I guess if there's an error right now, it just throws an exception. It's just going to bomb out, right? Which isn't what I want either. That's not the end of the world, because again, this is just being used by me. But if I go here and I make this not valid JSON, what happens? I get an unhandled exception. Okay. So I may want to... And by the way, what's wrong with my beard? Huh? It's the low resolution of the video. That's my excuse. I have very fine, somewhat blondish hair. So like the mustache, you can't really see it that well, and sort of where it starts is kind of, yeah. I don't believe you, Coral. I feel like you're patronizing me. This is my isolation, my stay-at-home beard. Once I'll tell you what, once I'm on that cruise ship, off it goes. All right. Until then, it's still going. Yeah, I never. This is the longest beard I've ever grown in my entire life. This is the most I've ever done. So this is like a month or so of growth. Yeah, I'm not really much of a beard person. Whenever my sisters see it, they say, "Oh, you look Amish." It's an Amish-looking beard. Yep, yep. So that's okay. Nothing wrong with the Amish. Okay, what other sanity check? So maybe I just want to try catch around this. Maverick Twitch, are you making game? I am not making game. No, I am working on my chatbot for this channel here. I have worked on a game in the past, a Twitch game, and I may revisit that in the future, but I'm not making a game right now. Nope. Just having some fun with code. Do you work on games, Maverick Twitch? By the way, thank you for stopping by and hanging out, saying hi. I will say, if you're looking for someone who works on games on the regular, what I would recommend you do is go to the Awesome Developers streaming list. Just showed it here on GitHub. I'm learning beginner programming Unity. Okay. So go to this site right here. Paste it in the chat there. Do a Control F, and you can type Unity as your search, and you can find people who are streaming about Unity. So you can see here Ben Greenier, I don't know, Daniel Jenkins, Freya Homer, Hardly Difficults, Jeff Lindsay, Sebastian Rancaud, Thierry Siren. They all are streaming about Unity. And you can also go to livecoders.dev, which is my team, and some team members on here. I don't know if anyone has Unity. So there you go. Jenny Nexus. Lily Hazel. Well, that's community. Sorry, a little different. No Pogo TV. Sourcecoot. So there's some people who are also streaming about gaming, game development specifically, and Unity even more specifically. So that's where I would go. I'm not saying you're not welcome here. You're absolutely welcome to stay here and hang out. Because Unity, we're talking C#, probably talking .NET. So I do a lot of that in this channel. Game development is not something I've done much of in my life, in my career. Certainly not professionally. I've created some games before. I don't know if Coral remembers, but there was I don't know if it's still around, but there was you are a full stack developer, J2EE, so Java, but you're interested in writing games in Unity, which I think you need C# for that, right? So that's cool. I don't know if you remember this, Coral. Remember that Dr. Mario knockoff I wrote long time ago? Yeah, C#, okay. Yeah, that's cool. And I wrote that in C or C++. I wrote a game, one of the first games that was actually like a completely baked game. Mini Wheats, you remember that? Hey, what's going on? Thank you for the follow, Barna. And hey, good to see you, Mini Wheats. You remember me making a Dr. Mario knockoff? Okay, if you say so. But it was a C++ library called Allegro, I think was what it was, right? Still around, I guess. Cross-platform library, video game multimedia programming. So I've used that before. I've also wrote 100%. I was just thinking about when you were talking about making games. I also more recently I wrote a game in, well, it was Windows Forms, I guess. It's a clone of, you can see a theme here. I'm writing game clones. I remember using Allegro. I think I still have an RPG game framework out. I never finished. I made a clone of a game called Deja Vu, which I made a clone of the NES version of it, but it was originally a Mac Venture game, because I love adventure games, right? So I decided Deja Vu is one of my favorites. I think underrated game. And so I decided to make my own sort of clone of it. And I made it in .NET, C Sharp, using WinForms and a few other libraries. And I thought about porting it to Xamarin at some point, but that's, it's a lot of work to do that. But games something I just play. I don't working on them. It's game development is so different than full stack J2EE development, for instance, which is I'd be probably more comfortable working on that, even though I'm not a Java developer. But that's what I've worked on my whole career is line of business apps and practical websites and stuff like that. Not games so much, but I do enjoy and appreciate games, especially adventure games, which I'll play from time to time here. As Surly Dev probably would have chimed in by now if Surly Dev wasn't lurking. That Princess and the Wizard, for instance, is a game I've played on the stream before. So what other sanity checks could I put in here? Here's what I'm concerned about. I'm concerned about something like this. But that's going to cause an error, right? No, it's not, because blank, well, I think my site's not running. Coral, I'm much better at tools and solving practical stuff, not so good at making games. I at one point in my life, I thought I wanted to be a game developer. I wanted to work for Sierra Online. And it just didn't work out that way, and probably for the better. That's a pretty tough industry to be in. Although indie development these days, maybe not so bad. Save all. 400 error. Why is that? 400 error. Is that bad request? Is 400 bad request? Oh, it was 500. No, this says 400. Okay. So that's fine. Bad request is more, that's probably better off for like a REST endpoint, HTTP endpoint. What I probably should do is set an error message. model state dot add model error. JSON is, you must enter some JSON. I guess the other thing, okay, I think I know what I'm worried about. I think I know what I'm worried about. Oh, gosh. Surly Dev, sniping me again with the clip. Gosh. Okay, I think I remember what I wanted to validate now. Right now, if I have badges here, it'll work just fine. But if I put in something like foo bar, my serialization, deserialization will basically make that go away. So I want to check to see that JSON is going to be the same on both sides. But I still think it's good to have this model state stuff here. So you must enter some JSON for... maybe I can split this out. Page info. And like this. Static content commands. Another error down here. So homepage info. I don't remember saying I enjoy the Princess and the Wizard. Did I actually say that? Let me play this clip back. I didn't say I enjoyed the game. I kind of implied it, though. So, when are you going to do Princess and the Wizard speedrun? I think I said this before. I should make this like a custom reward. A reward for you, Surly Dev, but a punishment for me. If you get enough Buckazoids, you can cash them in. And I'll just drop everything and play Princess and the Wizard. The terrible, terrible adventure game. You have 2.3k Buckazoids. So I got to make it at least like 10k then, because it is not a good game. It is not a good game at all. And adventure games get a bad reputation, I think, for being pixel hunts and stuff like that. But The Wizard and the Princess is absolute garbage. It is shocking that Sierra went on after those games to create stuff that is so much better. It's just, I mean, it's just like, who played this game and said, oh yeah, this is definitely worth the $50 or whatever. I'm going to keep buying from this company. So there's got to be a ROM hack for either. Yeah, to make it Princess and the Lizard, probably make more sense. The thing was, the Wizard, I played through it. I don't remember even seeing the Wizard. It was just like, doesn't make any darn sense. Anyway, go back and watch the episode. bit.ly/GrovesTube. It's in there somewhere. Princess and the Wizard. It's stupid. It's a terrible game. All right. Okay, so what I want to do here is I want to say if model state dot is if it's not valid, then we're going to return view dashboard. I want to no, here's what I want to do. Wait, what do I want to do? I want to throw it back to the screen. I think I'm going to have to do this. So dashboard view model. Oh, it's Wizard and the Princess. I thought it was Princess and the Wizard. It's, yeah, something like that. This is not a recommendation. If you want to get into adventure games, do not start with Wizard and the Princess. Do not do it. You need a bang wizard command. And what's that command going to do exactly? Also, I'm uncomfortable saying bang wizard out loud. Look what you've done. Do not clip that one. Do not clip it. Show the entry for Wikipedia. Oh, okay. Is that really a practical bot command? All right, so we need to create a model. So if it's not valid, this model equals new dashboard view model. Model dot. Oh, darn. Here's the thing. Because I want to kind of preserve that terrible JSON. Say what you want now. I'm getting my chicken out of the oven. Is that a euphemism? Is that one of those UK euphemisms? Like apples and pears? Going up the stairs? Getting my chicken out of the oven? I don't know what rhymes with oven. I don't know. Oh, this chat's going off the rails. Okay, so I gotta think this through a little bit. Right now, the JSON is generated just from the object itself. But I think what I want to do is make some shooting noises, some laser blast noises for a while I think. This is the less glamorous part of coding, is the thinking. Not a lot of stuff going on the screen. It's just going on in my mind. So I'm thinking this view model should just be raw strings and not the actual classes. That's what I think. These profiles can stay, but these go away. These become full-blown properties. Pan the camera into your forehead and fade into the magic floating math from accuracy. Yeah, I think that would be a good command, is show the little like calculation signs above my head. For once, that wasn't a euphemism. What, the chicken out of the oven isn't a euphemism? It should be. That's a good euphemism. I gotta go get my chicken out of the oven, if you know what I mean. So this is actually something's actually paying off here, is that I've got this view model that's kind of a go-between between the actual data model coming from Mediator. Oh gosh, look what happened. My phone heard me say chicken out of the oven for some reason and showed me some. Oh god, look at the message up there, the very top. It says chicken out of the oven if you know what I mean, and then it showed me chicken recipes. What a world! But anyway, this is a way actually the view model is kind of paying off, because now I can change this without changing the underlying data model, and I can sort of represent this in a different way. In this case, as raw JSON, which is a little outside the ordinary, but that's what we're going to go with. And so we're going to just do this right here. Your phone just starts showing you chicken recipes. So for some reason, it picked up on me saying, I usually have to say, okay, Google. But then, I don't know why, it just keyed on that and just, I said, take the chicken out of the oven, and it interpreted that as being, okay, you want to see some chicken recipes. So this is a moderated message. I don't know what this means. I'm afraid to allow this one. I'm going to deny that one, Surly. Yes, my phone started showing me chicken recipes, is the short of it. Is it picked up on me saying saying take the chicken out of the oven. All right, we've gotten way off the rails here. Okay, static. So I want to take this, and it's going to be formatted. That's one of the things we need to know for sure. If this was too hot for you, get the chicken out of the oven. Wormy is 51, suggesting a euphemism or a new saying. I don't know. If you can't stand the heat, get the chicken out of the oven. Let's see. I was watching The Good Place yesterday. I still haven't seen a single episode of that. And someone asked Janet something, and Cortana tried answering from my gaming PC across the room. Is your Cortana named Janet or something like that? How is that possible? Gosh. Okay, so at this, you should. It's good. I've heard it's good. Bing. Not that I'm aware of. Okay. Well, maybe your Cortana has decided that she's now Janet. I don't know. Whatever. It's called Assistant Envy, I think. Yeah, The Good Place is one of those shows, kind of probably like Arrested Development, where it's just like, I've heard how good it is, but I won't actually watch it until it's off the air and ended before its time. Right, like Futurama, same thing. I didn't get into Futurama until it was canceled, and then of course it came back. But I don't know. I think my wife might have watched a few episodes of it, but yeah. It's very possible she's very much self-aware, very much neglected, and getting angry as we speak. Uh-oh. You're going to turn into Gladys. So can Janet hear me right now, Coral? Like if I ask Cortana, show me some chicken recipes, would that trigger your gaming PC? Or am I just on headphones right now? Okay. You watch it before references and stuff spoil it for you. Whatever. If it happens, it happens. There's a lot of shows that I still haven't got around to watching. Like, I still have a whole season of Happy, season 2. I haven't watched that. Like the last couple seasons of Mr. Robot. Haven't watched those yet. What else? Big Ed, Twitch. Having your Alexa talk like Gladys is about the best skill ever. That would be pretty cool. I like that. She must not like you. Maybe if I blasted you through the TV. Watch Devs, Matt. Watch Devs, DEVS. I don't know what that is. But like I said, there's so many shows that I still haven't. They're just sitting out there waiting for me to catch up on them. wonder if I can I show you my, is this allowed? Can I show you my Plex? That's not a euphemism. I mean, this shows on Plex and it shows on YouTube TV and it shows on Amazon Prime, all those things. But let's look at this. Oh, Ozark is another one. I still haven't caught up to Ozark. Like I think we're almost done with season 2. Haven't got season 3. I'll show you mine if you show me yours. What else? No, I think well, the newest Tiger King episode. I haven't watched that one. Oh gosh, and there's some movies I haven't watched. Like I still haven't watched The Irishman. Still haven't watched all of that. Emma, the new Emma movie. I haven't watched all of that. Just a lot, and there's a lot of stuff on YouTube TV and Prime and stuff I haven't caught up with either. Oh boy, you binged all 4 seasons of The Good Place in 2 days over the weekend. That's a lot. Man in the High Castle is over if you haven't watched it. I watched the first season of Man in the High Castle on Amazon. I thought it was pretty good. And then I think I tried watching season 2 and I wasn't really into it for some reason. Like maybe it was just too long of time had passed between season 1 and season 2. But I really liked the first season of Man. Well, I don't know if I really liked it. And the other one, Catch-22. That's another one. I don't think I finished watching that one. I wonder if there are some people who are new to coding actually call variables foo. I think there's actually a Wikipedia article on foo bar baz and so on. Because there's like a maybe not, but there's like a whole progression. Like it's not just foo bar baz. It's like foo bar baz, quux, etc., etc. I don't know who sat down and defined all these. Metasyntactic variable. Yeah, here we go. Here they are. Metasyntactic variables. Foo, bar, baz, quux with 2 U's, quaz, corge, gralt, garply, Waldo, Fred, plug, zizzy, thud. Yeah, some of these are from Colossal Cave Adventure. Wubble, wobble, and flub are used in the UK. Wibble, wobble, wubble, and flub. Wibble, wobble, wubble, flub. In Japanese, they have hoji, I guess, and pio. Fuga, hogera, hoje. Fantastic. Toto in France. Toto, tata, titi, tutu. Oh, boy. It's fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Love it. Metasyntactic variables. There you go. Now you learn something new. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to slightly change this controller, this dashboard view model. Right, so if I go to the dashboard index, there's going to be some broken parts here, I think, right? No. Those work. So this tells me I'm on the right track, I think. So we'll go to the controller here. Those get posted to that. Model dot homepage. I still want to show the profiles. That's the thing. Like I can just do this, and then map little map skis. But I want to override JSON with homepage that's right there and model.static. So if I put in wrong JSON, it'll refresh, show me an error message, and then keep the lousy JSON on the screen so I know what I did wrong. It's not just going to blow that away either. I don't want to lose stuff that I'm typing in, is what I'm getting at. Okay, so if the model says not valid, it's going to go and grab that again. And yeah, so a lot of unit tests, a lot more unit tests here. This is going to be a little more complicated than I had hoped, but it's probably necessary. This is getting a bit long too. We're almost at the single screen limit. Speaking of limits, we're at about 5 minutes till noon. So I need to, it's probably a good time to come to stopping point. we've got derailed a little bit here, which is totally fun, totally fine and fun. Happy to do it. I have no problem with that. But let's see who's streaming and what they're streaming about. Maybe we can go raid somebody. So we got Coding Garden. I don't know if I've been in there before, but we've got some React.js and a pretty rad-looking hairstyle there. C# Fritz, of course. Always good to raid C#. I haven't raided C# Fritz in a while. I haven't raided BeginBot in a while either. I regret that I only have one channel to raid. Let's... I don't know. C# Fritz might be wrapping up too. He started around 10 as well. We're going to go and raid Coding Garden. I don't think I've raided Coding Garden before. So let's go there. And you know what? I'm going to... All right, can I fire this up? So I can get the raid command working. Just temporarily. So we're going to raid Coding Garden. If you are a subscriber, you can copy and paste that message right there. And copy it and paste it right into Coding Garden's channel as we go over there. So let's be nice to Coding Garden. Let's say hi. Let's hang out with Coding Garden for a while. I will see you next time, this Thursday, 1:30 p.m. Eastern U.S. time. Thank you very much for joining me, everybody. Thank you for the follows from Barna Christian. I can't see the other people in this list that have followed recently. A Full Stack Live, thank you for the cheers. Just thank you, everybody. Thank you for the raid, by the way, Pixelogic Dev. Thank you for that raid. So I'll see you over there in Coding Garden. Everybody have a good one. Bye-bye now.